In the face of a widening conflict between Iran and Israel, what is going to be the impact on India? To talk about this, we have the Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Mr. Puri. Thank you, Mr. Puri. Always a pleasure to have you with us. So in terms of energy needs of India, I will have diversified our energy source of upstream years, but how prepared are we when it comes to pricing, when it comes to our energy requirements, specifically with this conflict?
Vasudha ji, I think you have succeeded in rolling many aspects, many dimensions of this issue into your question. How prepared are we? What will be the impact? We brought in prices and several others. First of all, let me start with the part which is more obvious. For a country which is dependent over 85% or 85% on the crude oil imports for its requirement, yes, the situation as it unfolds globally will impact us without doubt. A country which depends 50% on imports for our natural gas requirements equally will be impacted. But having said that, let me say two things. One is there is more oil available on the global market than at any point in recent history. Production, new product producers are coming on the market. I'm not referring just to Guyana, where it still has to come on stream, but a big find has been made. More suppliers in the Western Hemisphere. The United States is the largest producer, 13 million barrels they produce per day. They are going to add another 1.5 million barrels. Canada, Brazil, etc. So there's more oil coming on the market. Even if there were not to be the case, please recall that OPEC Plus and others had cut back production. It used to be 102 million barrels a day. They cut back 5 million barrels in order to limit the supplies available so that prices could be shored up. We have diversified our sources. On a typical day, we consume 5.5 million barrels of crude for refining, or a little more than that. What comes through the Straits of Hormuz is only about 1.5 million. So at one level, I can answer your question and say, if that I don't get that 1.5 million coming from there, I will increase my domestic production, don't export, and because I'm also not an insignificant exporter, I will buy more from other sources. There's one country from which we used to buy 800,000 barrels or 1 million barrels a day. We cut down to 500,000 because more oil is available and we are able to diversify. So there's no problem on the availability side. Okay. On the price-wise, look, the Prime Minister has already demonstrated that if a government is conscious of the needs of its consumers, on 3 occasions he brought the price central excise down. I'm talking about November 2021, May 2022 and March 24. Central government reduced its excise and BJP states also reduced their VAT. I think as a result of the central government's action, the price came down by 13 rupees and 16 rupees respectively for petrol and diesel.
Right.
Okay, now, if tensions escalate, will the route be closed, the Straits of Hormuz? Frankly, people agonize about that. But as far as I'm aware, in the last 50 years of our history, of the history of this region, Straits of Hormuz has never been closed.
But sir, do you see that as a possibility? And also, if that happens, what will be the impact
Even
on the freight expense?
Causes of some concern. First of all, why would the Straits of Hormuz be closed? Because somebody would want to see it closed. I don't see it in the interest of either China or Iran. China, why? It's a very big consumer of the energy which comes through those straits. And Iran, because it produces some of the energy which doesn't go elsewhere, it goes there. So it would not be in their interest to close it. Would it be in the interest of the others? Yeah. Well, I think since President Trump came into office, he has been talking about drill, baby, drill. Yes. He is keen to bring the price of energy down. And drill, baby, drill is intended not only to ensure that enough energy is available in the markets, but price is reasonable and inflation comes down. So I'm not convinced that the United States would want that either. Other players, it doesn't really matter. If Iran doesn't want it, I don't see anybody. They will hit each other's oil installation. Hopefully that will be localized damage.
Right.
But even without the Straits of Hormuz being closed, the fact of the matter is insurance rates have gone up.
Yes.
Insurance rates going up means there will be some additional cost, because how do you calculate the price of petrol or diesel at the bunk? And in India, 67 million people, 6 crores, 70 lakhs people go to the petrol station for different forms of energy, petrol, diesel, CNG, etc.
Right.
It's the cost of production of a barrel outside, the cost of insurance, cost of freight. Yes, it stands to reason if any supply route is closed and you have to reroute your supplies, then the cost of freight would go up.
Yes.
Okay. Cost of insurance, as I said, is go up because insurance companies will would like to, cover their risk. So far, merchant shipping has not been hit. I knew during the Houthis attacks on the Red Sea, that used to happen. It's not happening now. But all said and done, price of oil has remained within that 70-75 region.
Okay.
And even prior to this, it was there.
Right.
It's only that little while after the Trump, this thing came down to 65. Now it's gone from 65 to 63 was the lowest to 76. So, price has gone from 60. No, price has not gone up from 63 to 76. Price has recovered to where it was earlier, prior to that phase. Yeah.
So, in layman terms, is there anything that the common Indian needs to worry about when it comes to fuel prices? Do you see that going up in some times?
The common Indian, I don't know who the common Indian is, all of us, should be very conscious of the fact that this is a prime minister who, if at all he brings prices down, he doesn't take them up. I mean, on 3 occasions, as I said, November 21, May 22, and March 24, he brought the central excise duty down. Even, and there, by the way, we are continuing to feed 80 crore people 3 meals of dry ration in a day, even though the pandemic is over. So I don't think that should be a matter of concern to a common Indian. But, in a warlike situation, and today you can use that term without any fear of contradiction, it's a very serious escalation of the military conflict. I hope wiser counsels prevail. And as the Prime Minister has been calling, others have been calling for cessation of hostilities in return. But our discussion is anchored if that doesn't happen. 3 points I want to make for you. We have enough stocks. We have enough diversified supplies. Even if there were to be disruption in supply lines, we can source it from alternate sources. We have enough. Our 5.5 million barrels a day, which goes into our refineries for petroleum and petroleum product, I don't think that is something we are unduly worried about.
Okay, that's very nicely said. Mr. Puri, also, we saw the Congress party attack you yesterday because you were talking about India's, stance and positioning. How do you see that attack on you, the personal attack on you, and specifically with regard to Trump-Munir's meeting and the Congress calling it a triple jhatka?
See, I'm not going to get into issues of meetings and people's luncheon. That's not my portfolio. I would also not respond to the Congress party, but since you said it's an attack on me, all I can say is I was mildly humored. I was mildly humored because I wear this kind of a criticism as a badge of honor. I mean, if somebody turns around and say, I was a failed diplomat, well, your government appointed me as a permanent representative to New York. The rest is history. We won our Security Council seats. I think out of 189 countries voting, we got 186, which is a record of sorts. And I don't want to get into that because that gentleman who spoke, he also went on to say that I'm a failed minister. That I found even more endearing because my record speaks for itself, whether they're, but I don't need his certificate. All I can turn around and say is that when the Congress party resorts to having its spokesperson, self-styled or appointed, attacking a minister and attacking me, I think something I must have said has really stung them. And has stung them badly because instead of... he also added that I'm parroting the PMO line. I found that particularly endearing. And I want to thank him for it through your channel. Because if as a minister I can correctly echo the government's policies, particularly those announced by the Prime Minister, then I think I must be doing something right.
Thank you, Mr. Puri, for speaking to NDTV. That was Hardeep Puri, Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, talking about how prepared India is when it comes to fulfilling its energy requirements in the face of this widening conflict between Iran and Israel. With camera person Shiv Kumar, this is Vasudha Venugopal for NDTV.